Good evening, gladiators in suits. Wow, I'm really on the dot. 8 o'clock p.m., huh? I was supposed to go live at 9. I have a meeting at around 9:30, so let's do this early at 8 o'clock. Hello, everyone. I missed you guys. I haven't gone live since Thursday last week. Been happily busy with lots of work, not complaining, but I need to make time. So, thank you for joining us in tonight's career discussion. Tonight's going to be a very juicy one. I would love to hear lots of stories from you. Tonight's going to be topic is this. I want you to share with me the worst company policies you've ever experienced. Okay? Maybe you haven't experienced it personally. So if you have any company policy that you know truly exists, you've heard it from someone, a friend of yours complained about it to you, share that. Of course, we're going to be sensitive here. I don't want people to gang up on me. I can totally understand if this time you're not going to be revealing which company this is. Okay, so we're going to be sensitive on that part. We can take out the names of the companies we are referring to, but I would love to know what those company policies are. And the reason why I would like to discuss them is because we want to put into practice good policies. Sometimes the only way for you to find out what is good is for you to taste and experience what is bad. Right? That's part of learning. For you to be able to learn, you have to unlearn. And so we're going to talk about that for tonight. Can I get an exclamation mark if you guys are happy with our topic? Tell me what is the worst company policy you've ever experienced. Uy, no audio daw. Wait, sorry. No audio daw si TikTok. Sorry. You know why? Because I forgot to. TikTok folks, I'm so sorry. I wasn't able to put my audio. Can you hear me now? I'm also checking on Facebook if they can hear me. Ayan, okay. TikTok folks, sorry. For the first time, I forgot my audio this time. Okay, so TikTok folks, I was saying a while ago, our topic for tonight is tell me what is the worst company policy that you've ever experienced. And the reason why I want to talk about that is because sometimes the only way for you to learn the good is for you to experience the bad. I'm also going to remind you, you don't need to share the name of the company. We want to be sensitive. Of course, I don't want people to get mad. I don't want people to think that we are bad mouthing on you. But please do share what those things are. As usual, on top of that, we're going to talk about your career issues. So if you have any questions you'd like to share about your employment, your contract, let's say, for example, you want to change lanes, you want to change industries, you have a conflict with your colleague, your boss, etc. You'd like to get some job interview tips, give me specific questions. We will raise them in the chat box so that other people can also share their answers. Okay, is that cool? Can I get an exclamation mark? Are we all good? Okay, are we all good with that? Ayan, I haven't even started yet, and people are starting to type already the worst policies that they've experienced. Okay, let me capture this. A LinkedIn user says no mobile phone policy, only up until to the locker. Okay, I know this is ridiculous, but I can understand there are companies that require this due to security purposes. For example, I do know that in a lot of BPO companies, if you are involving information such as customers' credit cards, you have to keep your phone because people might keep the numbers of customers. So it's fair though. It's difficult, I will say that, because if your shift is, let's say, for 8 hours, that means you don't have your smartphone for 8 hours. What if you needed to be contacted for emergency purposes? I get that. Yes. But all is fair, I think, for this specific part. Okay. Ronifel Barrios is raising this on LinkedIn. The policy is this: the bond where an employee needs to pay three times their salary in case employee resigns before 1 year. Wow. Three times. I've heard of bonds wherein you have to pay 1 month's worth of salary. This one is three times. That's a lot. Before 1 year. Okay. I will say somehow before 1 year is fair because 1 year is just when you've finished your training and coaching, and you might just be doing it for the sake of stealing the learnings and transfer it to another company. So I get that part. That part I think is fair. What I don't think is fair is 3 times the salary. Wow. You know what's the problem? This part I think is not properly regulated by the government. This is a contract that we assume if you sign on to it, you do give your consent. So it's a binding contract, unfortunately. But thank you, Ronifel, for sharing that. Okay, Sarah G on TikTok, medical certificate for sick leaves, even if it's just for 2 days. 1 day, I think it's totally fine not to give any medical certificate. 2 days, I can understand why some companies are asking that. 2 days or 3 days, I think it could be fair. Okay. Okay, let's one more. Providing medical certificate for a day of sick leave. Okay, same thing. I think for sick leaves that are just for 24 hours for a day, I think you should let that go. I think you should enable the person to do it without any medical certificate. However, I will say this. If the employee has been filing sick leave every Monday, every week, I'm going to take it on you. I'm now going to be asking for a medical certificate. Why is it that magically every Monday you're getting sick? That starts to become doubtful. No? Don't you think? Okay, let's look some more. Christine Soplico, are you providing certificate for your recorded online courses? Yes, we do. If you go to our website, jonathanyabut.com, we have 10 online courses: public speaking, business writing, leadership, managing mental wellness, digital marketing, and all these things. It's only for 499 pesos for 1.5 hours. And yes, you not only get an ebook of From Grit to Great, our best selling book, you also get a digital certificate with it. Thank you for raising that, by the way, Christine Suplico. Okay, let's look some more questions, some more answers here. Oh wow, Barky is saying 3 million pesos if you decide to leave your 3 years lock-in contract. Wow, huh? 3 million. That's a lot of money. That could be ridiculous. Okay. Um, Not getting benefits as the law provides, says Jan Quaresma. Okay, I need to clarify. If you are a contractual employee, if you are a freelancer, if you are on a project basis, the company is not obliged to provide you benefits. You are not treated as a regular employee. So even, let's say, sick leave, vacation leave, if you happen to be a freelancer or contractual, these things are not provided. If ever they are given out of the generosity of the company. However, if you happen to be a full-time employee and these benefits are not given, yes, that is not allowed by law. I would recommend that you report it to DOLE if that is the case. Okay? Raymond Lacson on LinkedIn says there is a non-compete clause for 1 year lock-in. So for those who may be wondering what is a non-compete clause, if you are working for a company that sells smartphones, you're not allowed to leave the company and join another competing company that is also selling smartphones. That's a non-compete clause. The reason for that is because you might be sharing confidential information. So let's put this into a real example. Examples such as why my dogs are my dogs are fighting against each other again. Um, Examples of these. Let's say you're working for smart communications, okay, and you left the company in just 1 year or 2 years. There's usually a clause in the contract that states that you cannot join Globe Telecom or let's say Dito. And that's because there are a lot of confidential, significant info that you might be sharing with them. Okay? So this part, I will say it's fair. I don't like it either. I don't like it, don't get me wrong. But I can understand why companies are doing and requiring it. Ooh, Jang Corresman says, I'm a regular employee. Okay, Jang, I wish I can help you, but this is something that you might need to report to DOLE if you're not given those benefits. Okay, let's look at some more here. By the way, for those who may want to ask questions that are not related to the topic tonight, that's also fine. You can ask questions related to your career. Okay. Also, I'm trying to look left and right because I have a new dog, a street dog, and he's not doing well with my old dog. They're still fighting against each other, and this other dog is really so aggressive. So now he's cornering my other dog Tanjiro in the part of the room, and I feel bad for him. Okay. Um, Marie Madim is asking on TikTok, what is your opinion about going back to on-site and remove your work from home? Thank you. I'm gonna answer this from a contractual perspective from your contract. The contract of any employment contract states that the company gets to decide where you are going to work, and that the work from home is simply an aberration or a temporary arrangement because of the pandemic. So when a company wants you to go back to the office now, it is part of the contract that you have signed, unfortunately. Okay? So you have two options. You quit because you don't agree with it. Or number two, this might be the worst case, but it's a breach of contract from the company's perspective. What I will do is to negotiate with your manager if there are ways that you can spend more time at home rather than spending the entire week on site. If the company cannot allow you to work from home the entire week, negotiate for 1, 2, or 3 days instead. Okay? Okay, CJL Magno. There is this policy of probationary employees are not entitled to overtime pay because they are probationary. Is it legal? Anything that is under the probationary rule means that you are not entitled to the benefits and to the compensations that are allotted for full-time employees, unfortunately. Worst case is that if this is part of the contract from the very start, you can't even argue against this. Okay? I would recommend that you go to a lawyer and see if there is anything that you can check on this, but probationary employees are probationary. Probationary employees usually are not entitled to sick leave. Probationary employees are not entitled to insurance, HMO, vacation leave, for example. Under the Philippine law, you're not entitled to the 5 days of service incentive leaves that are only granted if you have worked in the company for at least 12 months. Okay? I wish that is not the case. Don't get me wrong. I'm just the messenger here. Okay? Okay, let's look at some more. Deduction in the salary if you are late, but there is no OT under 1 hour extensions of work. I've seen a lot of cases like this. The NLRC and the DOLE have done a lot of hearings and cases when an employer illegally deducts a portion of the salary just because someone is late. So check again your contract. Maybe this is part of the contract, unfortunately, that you are allowing the company to deduct. If that is the case, then there is consent. Otherwise, if there is none, I would recommend that you also seek legal guidance from a lawyer. But from the hearings and the case that I do know, this is not something that employers should be doing. Okay. Okay, Isha Concepcion, is it fair to hire undergraduate employee if the position requires graduate employee? You know, whenever a company says, here are the following requirements, they are their prerogatives. They can bend the rules if they want. They can change the rules if they want. If they think that there's an undergraduate employee that rather fits the role, then they can take out that rule and allow the person to come. It's their ultimate discretion. Okay? Okay, one more question. Should we consider release? This is from Barkey on Facebook. Should we consider releasing an employee who was previously high performing but is now demotivated and planning to resign? The person's asking to resign, so you can't really stop that as an employer. No employer is allowed by law to block someone's resignation. That is forced labor if you do so. So if someone resigns, it is not up to you to approve. You do not approve resignations. You just accept resignations. And then you do the other admin. requirements. Admin requirements, they have to render 30 days if that's part of the contract. They have to return the laptop, they have to return the car, and all these things. Okay? But if someone wants to resign, if you're an employer, from an employer's point of view, you just need to accept that. Additionally, what are the options available for departing from a company that enforces a lock in contract? Negotiate. There's always a way to talk to the HR and negotiate if this specific agreement can be bent and can be changed. Okay? And sometimes it does. But you have to do it in a very discreet way because the concern of HR is that the moment someone finds out that you were given an exemption to the rule, the other employees are gonna call it out and find it unfair. Okay? Um, okay, let's answer some more. Wow, you guys have lots of issues, huh? Okay, Sir John, supervisory level and up while there is no more OTP. Is that okay? It's very normal. It's a standard practice in most companies. When I was working for Globe Telecom, including for GlaxoSmithKline, these are multinational companies. The OTP is only for staff and associates, but the moment you become a manager or supervisor, there is no longer OTP. And there are two reasons for that. Number one, that OTP, if ever you need to do it, is compensated by your higher salary. And number two, from a managerial or supervisory level, you're not supposed to be taking OT anymore because you're supposed to be more efficient with your job. You now have people who are working for you and who's doing the job instead. Okay. However, I will say this: if you think that the company is forcing you to work almost on a daily basis beyond 7 or 8 p.m. to work and grind hard, I think there's something wrong with the culture. And I think it's also unfair that you're not being properly compensated for that. Okay? Depends on again, it will depend on the industry, it will depend on the company. I'll give an example. In the advertising world, people in marketing and advertising, they spend time until 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock p.m. They don't have OT pay. Do I like that? Of course not. But that is the market forces. Those are the market forces at work. Okay? Rojan Manzano. Okay, this one's a tricky one. Do I need to really render 30 days? I assume it's because you want to resign. If there is no contract signed. Simple answer. No contract signed, you don't owe anything to the company. This, by the way, is a very red flag company because that means they have no contract or agreement between the two of you. Okay. Oh, wow. Amara Bulfa on Facebook. Working on Saturdays without pay because they say it's already included in the 7,500 salary every 15 to 30. Amara, check your contract. If your contract does not indicate that you have to work these number of days, usually contract will state the number of hours. So for example, 40 hours a week means 8 hours for 5 days. That means that you're not supposed to be working on weekends. Some companies will specifically indicate that your work is only from Monday to Friday. Check your contract because if your contract said that, then being forced to work on a Saturday is breach of contract. You probably noticed that I have a pattern here now whenever I answer your question, even if I'm not a lawyer. Check your contract. That's always going to be the basis of what you have agreed on. And even if you may not like it, if you have signed onto that contract, it means that there was consent, unfortunately. Okay. Sir, can I receive my last pay even if I have not finished my contract? In most situations, the company will only pay you prorated, meaning 30 days divided by the number of days that you rendered to them, that's going to be your salary. Okay? Again, it depends. I wish I can look at your contract here, but I can't find the details, right? It will depend, but the general rule applies. You should be compensated for the days that you have rendered work. Managerial level not eligible for night differential. Is that okay? I don't think so. Okay, I'm not a lawyer, huh? But night differentials apply regardless of your position. Please take note. Differentials for working at night, differentials for working for holiday, these things apply regardless of your position in the company, whether you're a staff, associate, or a manager. So please check that out. Rank, okay, this is interesting. Rank and file employees can only wear black shoes. Why? Maybe because you want to standardize how people look. Okay, I can understand why, but black is very specific. Maybe because you want people to wear a certain formal type of clothing. Okay. Ooh, J.A. Rodriguez, what can you say about a manufacturing company without health insurance? I have worked for 7 years here and I'm a regular. Then all of a sudden they removed our health card. Even your Health, because that's required. If you have an employer and you're a regular employee, your employer is supposed to cover your Health as well. Okay, JA, I'd like you to consult a labor practitioner here or a lawyer because you're supposed to have that, at least the Health part. I also think it's very unfair, especially without even prior notice. Okay, let's look at some more questions. By the way, while I'm waiting for some more questions from the participants, could you please look at the left side? Notice that we've changed the dates of our SMX Convention Center workshops. We're now doing it. The next batch this September is September 29 and September 30. September 29 is the leadership workshop in the morning. Afternoon is the social media marketing workshop. September 30 is our boost your confidence. And September 30 afternoon is our email etiquette and business writing. I'm going to be giving away free tickets in a few minutes. The only thing that you need to do is to share this live stream on your feed. So please, if you haven't done that yet, please do that now so you can be eligible to join our competition shortly. Our on competition talaga, no? Our online contest. Okay. Let's look some more. Okay, here's a question on TikTok from Michael B. I once worked for a company when I once worked for a company when all the females were required to wear skirts. What do you think of this, John? Okay, I'm not an expert on this part, but what I do know is that amazing companies will offer alternatives for females. So I'll give an example. Qatar Airlines do not impose that all of their stewards, their cabin crew members, the females, have to wear skirts. They are offered an alternative if they want to wear slacks instead. And that's because some folks are just not comfortable wearing skirts. I do think that you should also offer the same thing for your employees. Okay, TikTok, Camille Dakara is asking this. What is your insight about those homegrown employees who get lesser salaries compared to external hires? I disagree with it, but it is what's happening. And I think there is a reason behind it. And the reason for that is because the market forces push up the salary of those who come from the outside. Why is that? When you come from the outside, you're promising and telling the new employer that you're bringing in a new set of skills. You're bringing in a new set of networks. You're bringing in a different set of perspectives that the company will never have if they keep the same people. So, relatively, because there is a perceived higher value for that, most companies think that external hires are supposed to increase their salary. They want to make it competitive. Why? It's the only way to attract people from other companies. Is it unfair that the employees within the company are getting paid less when they get promoted? Totally. I think they deserve more because they have a lot of mastery, have a lot of learnings. skills that are homegrown. I totally get that. Don't get me wrong, right? Don't call me out. I'm just the messenger here because I'm painting the picture. I don't get to decide the picture. But the reason why the company is giving less to homegrown employees is because the supply of homegrown employees are going to be more. The mindset is that there will always be other employees in the company who can step up to that position and who would like to step up to that position. Higher supply means lower price. Okay? I'm going to flip the coin. Lower supply means higher price. And so if you want to lure in more people from other companies, you want to make the price higher to catch the better fish. That's it, unfortunately. Okay? Okay. Here's one more from 𝘆cie𝗂'𝘃𝗲 on Facebook. Worst policy ever? Separate comfort rooms for doctors and heads, and they let the employee use the patient's comfort room instead. And one thing, they also don't let their employees get drinking water. It's only for the doctors and heads. Ooh. I can understand the reason. Perhaps it's because if it's for the doctor's concern, you might want to separate the patients and the healthcare practitioners. When I say healthcare practitioner, it's not just the doctor, but the nurses as well and other assistants, because you want to make sure that the hygiene and potential spreading of disease is controlled. But if it's just comfort room for doctors and managers versus the other staff, then I think it's segregation based on they just don't like to mingle with the lower classes, unfortunately. I can understand why this is such a bad, ridiculous policy. You know what this reminds me of? I will not name the company, but I am aware that there is this very popular bank in the Philippines that has a specific elevator only for executives up until today. Because their executives perhaps don't want to mingle with the staff and associate. I disagree with this. I can understand why they want privacy, but you know why this is not good for engagement? Sometimes the best conversations and the best networking opportunities happen in the elevator when you get to bump into someone and you get to meet them and share 20 seconds or 1 minute of talk about their job. You're missing out a lot of opportunities with that. So same thing also here, 𝘆cie. I feel sorry. Pangalanan mo nga sinong kumpanya to. Which hospital is this? Unfortunately, I can't force you. But yes, I do agree. I think you should be fair enough that your treatment, regardless of your position, when it comes to access to the washroom and access to drinking water, I disagree that you should not be allowing people to drink water in hospital. When people have very long shifts, 12 hours, 16 hours, water is so essential. In some companies, coffee is essential. What more with water? Okay? Okay. Let's catch some more. Uy, on TikTok, someone is naming the bank. I'm not gonna confirm. I'm not gonna deny. You guys know which company that is. Okay. Ooh, this is a weird one. 𝗪𝘃𝗲 on TikTok is saying this. This policy is when all of your incoming emails are auto-copied to the president and Viber are copied to the IT personnel. Ooh, that's scary. This this for me is invasion of privacy to the point. Again, I'm not a legal expert here. I can't say that if you are really immune, if you have all the rights to not share. But I would run away. I would not want to work for a company like this where every minute everything is being monitored. You know what this company reminds me of? It reminds me of Terranos. That company of Elizabeth Holmes, when people are being spied on what they send on their emails. It's not it's not something that I would love to work for. I feel that someone's hovering on my head like a helicopter. Oh, Lilian de Guzman, separate employees entrance for manager and directors because they want to maintain the cleanliness of the lobby. You know, the solution to for this is this. Encourage your people or incentivize them to be cleaner when they go to work rather than separating the managers and directors. It's like blatantly saying, hampas lupa kayo, you don't know how to dress up or clean up, and therefore we're going to separate your entrance from the cleaner ones. Wow, I'm surprised. I'm learning a lot, by the way, gladiators in suits. I'm learning a lot. I didn't know that there were many ridiculous policies like this. Okay, let's look at some more. Oh wow, Raymond Blackson. I used to work for a company who issued cars with trackers without the recipient's knowledge. I only knew when I got promoted to a manager level. You know, if this was United States, this is probably a potential lawsuit when it comes to privacy, because even if you're granting your employees car, the assumption is, and again, the car I understand will be for official business purposes, but there are a lot of things that should not be divulged, such as your route going home. It's not like you're only taking one route to go back home. Yes, right? You know where I think we should put the tracker, however, for cars? I think we should put that in government issued vehicles, because there should be no reasons, especially for ambulance, for example, especially for vehicles that are not issued to only one person. If the vehicle is only issued to, let's say, an entire company or department, that's when I think that there should be a tracker, because that is when you have to uphold the utmost strictness that it should only be for official purposes. Okay. Ooh, someone saying on TikTok, you are just late for 1 minute, you are already declared as half day. What? Really? That's unfair. And that also means that if you're declared as half day, your payment for that day, your salary is only going to be half day. That is unfair. You know what's going to do? You know what that kind of stupid policy is going to do? It's going to encourage people that if they were late for 1 hour or for 1 minute, then I'm not going to give my best for the entire morning. Why? I'm not getting paid anyway. So while the intention is to make people go to the office on time, it discourages people to give their best, which I think is a worse impact of the policy. If you want the people to go in the office on time, incentivize them to be on time. Or number two, create a different consequence that is not going to impact their performance, right? What I would rather do, for example, when here's what I do, and this one worked for me before. Again, it doesn't apply to everyone. When I was working in the corporate world, I would set my meetings at 8:50. For example, if we have to be in the office at 8 o'clock in the morning, I would start my meeting at 8:15 a.m. And the reason for that is because I want you to be there on the dot. 8:05, 8:10, fine, I'll forgive that for a bit. But 8:15 means that it is unforgivable if you arrive in the office at 9 o'clock when we are already in the meeting. What does it do? Most of my employees don't want to miss out the meetings. I even sometimes assign them to do presentations at 8:30 or 8:15 a.m., which means they have no choice. They can't afford to be late. That's a better way to make people be in the office on time, for example. Okay. I'm also going to change this. It depends on your industry. In manufacturing, I can totally understand that you have to be there on the dot because you're being paid by the minute. But in other industries or departments, people don't care if you are late by 20 minutes or 30 minutes because they're looking for the output, not the amount of time. You can be in the office for 16 hours, but if you were slacking off the entire time because you were too slow and because you didn't like your job, I'd rather be with someone who was late for 2 hours or 1 hour but was still able to get the job done. I'd rather have that. Oh, okay. This one's a funny policy from JVC. Canteen policy. You are not allowed to buy rice if you don't buy ulam. Since you bring your own, you are not allowed to buy rice if you don't buy. That is weird. That is weird. I understand. They want you to buy the entire thing. But that is weird. Okay. I'm not sure if it's something that can be blown up to something legal. Oh, but I'm gonna give you an example for this. I buy rice at the 7-Eleven before for my dog. And I remember when I would buy rice, they always tell me that they can only sell me this amount of cups because they have to make sure that there is an equal number of cups of rice vis-a-vis the amount of chicken, fried chicken in 7-Eleven. So I would normally buy only after 10 o'clock in the evening when all the chickens have been bought and I'm just buying the leftover rice. It just reminds me of that. Okay. Wow, it got me curious that there are these stupid policies. Okay, some more. Oh, before we continue, let's give out away our prizes now. Can I get a letter P if you guys are open, are now cool to join our contest? So, folks on TikTok, if you're wondering what our workshops are, you can go to this site johnyabot.com/talks. Those are the 4 workshops that we offer on leadership, social media, business writing, and also public speaking. johnyabot.com/talks. Folks that are on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, you are seeing that right now on your screen. You see that? Those are the schedules, September 29 to 30. What's going to happen? I'm going to be asking a trivia question, and the first 2 people per platform who will be able to answer my question correctly will be able to join the workshops. And here's the catch, you get to bring a +1 with you. Okay, is that cool? The ticket is worth 1,299 pesos, so you're getting 2,600 pesos worth of tickets. Okay? Can I get a letter R if you are ready? And by the way, the only eligible winners are those that have shared this live stream on their feed. If you have not shared this live stream, we will not be able to call you as a winner. So please start sharing it now. I'm going to give you a few seconds. Yes? Folks on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, you haven't given me enough likes. I'm gonna call out our TikTok folks. On TikTok, we have 2,600 likes now. Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, you haven't given me a lot of likes yet. So please do. Please do that now. There you go. Okay, what's the category for tonight? Category is sports. This one's easy. If you're following this, you will be able to know the answer. Okay? And if you guys are ready, my question is this. Tell me the 3 countries that the Philippine team has gone up against in the FIBA 2023 World Cup. What are the 3 countries that the Gilas Pilipinas has gone up against, which unfortunately we lost, right? But which are these 3 countries? Please type it in the chat box. I'll give you a few seconds for this. Okay, wow, you guys are quick. I'm gonna call out the winners now. If you happen to be a winner on TikTok, claim your prize by going to this website, johnyabot.com/free. My winners are the following. The first one is user 4078 ending at 294. The correct answer is Dominican Republic, Angola, and Italy. My second winner on TikTok is Mr. Joel Reyes, Italy, Angola, and Dominican Republic. Congratulations on folks on TikTok. Do not forget to claim your prize, johnyabot.com/free. I'm going to be calling out now the winners on Facebook. The first winner is John Villafuerte. Congratulations. The second winner on Facebook is Troy Programmer. Congratulations as well. My winners on LinkedIn is Richelle Ordona. And also on YouTube, Kuya Jokes. Congratulations. My last winner on LinkedIn is Rodel Agpawa. Congratulations. And then one more winner on YouTube is Anton Mon. Congratulations. Correct answer is Angola, Dominican Republic, and Italy. Okay, or Dominican Republic first, Angola, and then Italy. I was realizing when I found out that we were going to go against Italy. I said to myself, okay, we need I think it was 13 or 14 points in order for us to be able to proceed to the second round. And I said, you know what? 14 points is not so bad. I think that's possible. And then again, I realized when Angola went up against Italy, tambak sila, right? So if you're going up against Italy or Spain, right, or Slovenia in Europe, you know that these guys are so big leagues. So I don't know, I don't want to say this, but I was already hopeless. But props to the Philippine team. We made us proud. Props also to the organizers of the FIBA World Cup, right? It's a good thing both for the economy and for the reputation of the Philippines that we are hosting such a big global event. Okay, can I get an exclamation mark? Let's go. Congratulate the winners. Sabi ni JVC, si Chot Reyes daw ang fourth opponent. Right? I can't say so much about the guy. I don't know him personally. I don't know his style of coaching and leadership. This is just me. It's just my personal question. I don't understand. Okay, I don't want to go to the details, ha, but I don't understand why we are not spreading the gameplay to other players. I don't understand why we're giving everything to Jordan. And because we give everything to him, all the other players in other teams are able to predict that the defense are going to be mounted against him. Can I get a letter Y as in yes if you agree, if you're a basketball fan? Yes. 'Di ba? Right? If siya na lang lagi maglalaro, edi talagang iisipin ng kalaban, okay, siya ang aabangan ko. I don't know. I might be petty about this, but I do think if you look at the best game plays, you don't just make it monopolized by one player. I think at least spread it to two or three or four or two or three, I think, optimal. So, ayun lang. Sorry, I was ranting. Di ba? Naging easy target ka talaga. Okay. Anyway, let's continue. Let's get over now. Let's continue. Let's please type your answers in the chat box. Sorry, your questions in the chat box. And again, our theme for tonight, in case you missed this out, is, sabi ni JVC ulit, they might as well hire LeBron. He can handle one against 6 players. I agree. You know, if this was an NBA player, fine. Give everything to one person. Okay, di ba? You give it to LeBron. But this is the Gilas Pilipinas team. I don't know. Maybe Chot Reyes was trying to psychologically inspire others na if you want to be also allowed to play, then you should step up to the plate, and I will see if you'll be allowed. But I don't know. Anyway. Okay, let's look at some more answers here. Worst policy, according to Christina on Facebook. They released the health card because you are already 1 year, but when you use the health card, the health provider informed the patient that in 3 days, the health card would expire. Okay, maybe it's an admin issue, I don't know. But I think it's more of a miscommunication here. But if you give a health card, if you give an HMO, it's supposed to be a working HMO system. Okay. Marco Alfredo on Facebook. What are your thoughts on companies that do not offset or pays overtime to those who used to report on site during weekends or for board meetings? Okay. Number one, from a DOLE perspective, if it's outside of your work scope to work on weekends, and yet you were asked to work on a weekend or on a holiday, you're supposed to get a special pay for it. That is a requirement. That is part of the law. I also think that, and amazing companies do this. If you happen to attend a Saturday work, it's normal for a manager to say, okay, let's offset. Monday, no more work. Or Tuesday, no more work. That's the least thing that you do. Right? No rehire policy. What does the rehire mean? Meaning if you already joined the company before, you can't join it again, I guess? It's a prerogative of the company, unfortunately. Jose Libranda, is it okay that your bosses disturb you during your rest day or on leave? Of course. It is not okay. The reason why you filed leave is because you wanted to take some rest. In other countries, it is even illegal. Portugal, Ireland, France, it is part of law that companies should not be disturbing their employees, and therefore employees should not be called out if ever they don't take on the phone call or an email or SMS. Okay? I get it. There are certain, again, it will depend on the industry, it will depend on the culture of the company. There are some companies wherein, even if you're on vacation leave, you don't need to report to work, but you should at least respond to SMS or to emails. I don't agree with that, but some companies still do that. When I was working for Globe Telecom before, that was 12 years ago. Maybe they have changed. It was something like that. I was on vacation leave, but people were still calling me. I was on sick leave, but people were still calling me even if I was sick. So ridiculous. But for me, it's a red flag. If the company exercises this without any, with hindi man lang nakokonsensya, it's a company not worth pursuing for the long run. Okay, JVC again asked the question: is there a possibility of granting a fair policy to fathers who have some long breaks like paternity leave, just as maternity leave, or single parent leave? The parental leave, I think, is already being provided in certain companies, depending on how progressive your company is. I think it's also being discussed right now in the Congress or in the Senate. In other countries, parental leaves are provided for both the mother and the father. Maternity leave, of course, is provided because you're the one who is giving birth. Paternity leave is given in some companies 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Okay. What can you say to companies floating their employees without proper notice? Okay, Marky, this might be a specific jargon when you say floating, meaning they're on standby, meaning they're not going to be working yet and therefore they're not going to be on pay. Number one, you should be giving proper notice because you want to make sure this person is aware of their standing in the organization. Okay? Again, it's a red flag. Shitty companies do this, unfortunately. Okay, fanboy is asking on TikTok, is having a daily meeting okay regarding what you've done for a day? If the only reason for conducting the meeting on a daily basis is what you have accomplished, I think it's a red flag. Why? You don't trust your people enough? Do you really need to get a report on a daily basis? And mind you, I posted a video about this, and there are so many people who commented and say, Jonathan does not understand agile, agile project management. He doesn't understand Scrum management. First and foremost, if you need to share and report every single detail as a meeting, because you don't know how to report it remotely in a dashboard, in a software, then you're doing it wrong. Okay? Granted, there are going to be certain exemptions to the rule if it's really so critical. I get that. But if it's something that you require from your people just because it makes you feel psychologically relieved that your people are getting their job done, your insecurity is getting projected as an inconvenience to your people who could have used the time to do something else. Please spare them that daily meeting. What I would normally do is I would only huddle with my teams on a Monday morning. I will ask for their project list and I will tell them, explain to me what are your plans for the rest until Friday. And then by Thursday or Friday, I probably just make a phone call and say, can I just ask, do you need any help? How was your week? And then the next Monday, we're going to do a project list update if all of their commitments were met. That's it. I'm not going to bug them. The goal is not for them to report. The goal is for them to finish their tasks. They are not reporting managers. They are managers who have deliverables. That's what they're supposed to do, and that's what they're paid for. Okay. Some people are saying, fanboy saying it's agile project management. I get that. I think it will work. I think agile project management, where you have a daily or hourly scrum or every 2 or 3 hour scrum, it's because maybe you're launching a new product. It happens a lot in telco. When I work in Globe Telecom, it does happen. But if there is no substantial difference to reporting it now versus reporting it tomorrow, then why subject people to such amount of time? It's unnecessary stress. Okay, Andres Lee on TikTok. What if you support organizations outside your work and your officer rejects it if you're going to attend? Check your contract. If your contract states that you're not supposed to have multiple jobs, including, let's say, in this case, if you're working for another NGO, technically that might be considered as having a separate preoccupation, even if you're not paid for it. Some companies may call you out for it because they want you to focus only in your job, unfortunately. Do I think that it sucks? Yes. But some companies do take that in their contract. So please check if your contract indicates that. Charibel, you can maximize the use of technology like Trello. Yes, of course. Ako, or Slack. Slack allows you to update each other without having to do a meeting. And if you cannot trust your people that they can use this software, then the problem is coaching and mentoring on how to use the software. The problem is not the reporting part. Uy, can I call this out? Stupid policy. Not for employers, but for employees, but for the customers. A few years ago, this was in SM MOA, the Department of Foreign Affairs, where you can renew your passport, had this stupid queue wherein they use monoblock chairs, and every time the queue, the line moves, you have to stand up and then you have to sit down again. You have to stand up and sit down again every time the queue moves. Super, I'm sorry, this is stupid. It's also indignifying. What do? You go to Lazada and Shopee, you buy a counter for 5,000 pesos that says customer number 485. That's only for 5,000 or 10,000 pesos. Why can't we invest on that? And then people don't need to keep on standing up and sitting down and DFA complaining that the monoblock chairs get destroyed all the time. I'm happier because today there are a lot of temporary sites in malls. The chairs are now better, the queuing system are now better, but way back during that time, 2015, 2016, that was such a stupid policy that they imposed on their customers. The customers being the Filipino citizen, by the way. Okay. Uh, Joel Reyes on TikTok is asking, how can we disengage our staff from using Gmail and to use our own branded email, let's say via MS Outlook? Number one, you have to put a timeline. Timeline meaning we understand that people cannot easily migrate because it will require a learning curve. So we are going to give you 6 months or 3 months. When people get to envision that they are given allowances for having to change and to evolve, they know that their own concerns are being heard. That's the first one. Number two, give a lot of incentives. Do online contests. That's one. Number three, explain the reason why. What is the reason why you're moving from Gmail to Outlook? Can you please explain to me why? Is it because the company will be able to afford more savings? Is it because Outlook is way better? If the employees will be able to understand the reason why, then they will follow it. But if you're only saying it without any reasons, people will just say, it's based out of compliance. So what will they do? Will they fire me if I don't join Outlook? You have to explain also why. The why is usually forgotten by the management because they often assume that people will understand the reason behind it. Most of them don't because they were not part of the decision making. Okay. Oh my God. Trisha, I have worked on LinkedIn. I have worked for a company where meetings should be scheduled after office hours so as not to disrupt operations. Accounting people are also required to do marketing stuff on top of their responsibilities. Well, Trisha, it seems like you're no longer part of this company, so congratulations to you. I was about to say something that I don't think I will. I think I will regret. Good thing I did not say it. But when a company tries to scrimp on or ginugulangan ang kanilang mga empleyado by saying you should only conduct meetings after working hours, certain companies come into my mind. ah, I am fascinated that there are companies who do this. Again, ridiculous policy. It's a policy that will make the employees think we're not part of the company. We're just robots making money for you. Thank you for sharing, Trisha. And yes, meetings are supposed to be part of your work scope and the time that you're being paid for. Ooh, I like this also from Ayo. Worst worst thing that I've experienced, a task that is impossible to be finished within the day. The task is only given so that you will be forced to extend your time without them approving your OT or OTY. You know what I hate about bosses sometimes? Only telling me that they need something by 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock p.m. And I know that the job will not be done in 1 or 2 hours, thereby forcing me to spend more time in the company. I think in the 1990s and 2000 that this was more common. These days, I think a lot of companies have gotten better, especially when the pandemic changed their mindset. But yes, Ayo, this is not something that I want to work for. If someone does this to me at this point of my life, I will say to the person, may I ask, why are you only assigning this to me at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock p.m.? Is this something that can wait for tomorrow instead? And if the answer is yes, then I don't think we need to accomplish it immediately for this afternoon. I've got commitments, I've got engagements. Okay? Oh, Tanjiro was trying to be, wants to be part of the camera. Okay, let's cover some last more. I think we can cover two more before we end. Joel Reyes, what can I say to an employee who says that is not part of my job description? I would usually tell the employees it's part of the job objective. Okay, again, I'm gonna make two philosophies here. While I understand that we have to stick to certain job descriptions, you cannot create 100% delineation of what you should do and what you should not only do. In marketing, the scope is just so broad that you cannot pinpoint which one isn't anymore part of your job. Okay? If you're a team player, you will get the job done. However, I will also say that if the job is ridiculously different from your competency and skill set, the company is taking advantage of you. Example of that, you were hired specifically to be part of finance, and then magically they ask you to also do HR role. That for me is unfair. You're being set up for failure, especially if you don't know how to get the job done. Number two, this is radically a different set of requirements that is going to eat up also your time. Okay? However, just to answer this question from Joel, what if an employee says that to me? If you think what you are asking remains to be fair, remains to be in a reasonable amount of workload that just doesn't happen to be explicitly stated in the contract, what I would say is it's not about the job description, it's about the job objective. And the objective of the company is to be able to launch the product. So even if this was not specifically stated in the spirit of what the job entails, it's something that everyone in the team is being requested to do. What I would also do is to do some role modeling. I would find a way that this person is able to observe that his other teammates or other people in the team are following the same thing so that he understands that he's the only outlier in this case. Oh, Lane also says, oh, I agree with this. Sabi ni Lane, ang mahirap kasi sa mga ganyan, once nag-voice out ka, makapasama ka pa, ganyan culture dito sa Pilipinas. I so agree. You know, my biggest disappointment in the Philippines, especially for Filipino-owned companies, because multinational companies are different. The culture is more progressive. The culture comes from different nationalities. From family owned businesses and government agencies, the mindset is that if you are challenging the rules and if you're trying to tell people that we can do something better, it's going to make it look like that you're challenging authority, that you're not a team player anymore. And that's a sad thing. If you're really an amazing leader, if someone calls out that you are doing something wrong, you will not take it personally, but you will take it as feedback so that your entire team becomes even way better. I've yet to see more of that in Filipino owned businesses, in family owned businesses, in government agencies. The only companies that, I mean, for someone who works with a lot of organizations, because we get to meet their HR, we get to meet their leaders, most of the time the progressive ones are from the biggest organizations that have the biggest budget and the biggest multinational companies. Unfortunately, I do have hope. I do think that over time, the more our family owned businesses in the Philippines get to be more exposed with the best practices of others, they get to realize that they can keep their employees way better and healthier if they do the same thing. Okay. Uy, si Lane ba talaga to? Because I remember Lane also, apart from her very successful Facebook account now, which I also watch, Lane also was one of our models when we did a campaign for Collezione, the clothing line. Si Lane ba talaga to? Lane, is that you? Okay. Um, let's answer. Okay. I think we can get one more. Okay, let me answer this one more on TikTok. Let's capture this as our last question. Uh, John, this is both. I think this is both a comment and a question. What do you think of companies? Okay, what do you think of companies that? Ang weird ng sentence ha, magulo. Okay, I'm gonna rephrase the sentence on TikTok instead. John, what do you think of bosses who promise you a promotion but after a year or two, nothing happens? Pinapaasa ka lang talaga. Number one, number one rule, even if your boss says it to you, and even if HR says it to you, and even if colleagues say it to you, I will not take it as a definite yes. The only time that I will accept that I will really be promoted is when there is documentation that I have been promoted. Remember, when you do get promoted, you're going to sign on to a different employment contract moving forward. And the reason for that is because it's very natural, it's normal in many companies wherein very optimistic bosses promise to you the moon and back, and yet they do not fulfill it. Why? Even if bosses will promise it to you, please take note that managers do not have 100% full control on your promotion. Sometimes the HR can veto, sometimes the business owner can veto, right? Sometimes there is, wait, someone daw is asked, sorry, I need to show daw our books. Oh, kasi daw nag-violate kami na meron na kaming display. I want to show this, by the way. Someone's called out our notification. The reason why we're doing live is also because we are selling our books that you can catch in the yellow basket. These are our books. Natawa ako bigla. These are our best-selling books available in National Bookstore, available in Lazada and Shopee, but they're also available in the yellow basket of our TikTok. Okay? The reason why I'm not seeing it so much is because I'm more engrossed into the topic rather than selling the books. But if you guys are interested, here are our books. Please do get copies as well. 399 pesos each, and you get discounts if you get all four of them. Okay, ayan. Sana wala na akong violation sa TikTok. Okay, so na bang pinag-usapan ko? Shucks, nawala tuloy ako. I forgot. Can someone remind me what I was talking about a while ago? Seriously, this is my dilemma. I keep on forgetting what I just said. I was talking about, guys, I really need you to help me. Nawala ko bigla. Ayan, promotion. Okay. So, ano nga about promotion? What's about promotion? Ayon, if your boss promises it to you, don't bank on it. Of course, give your best as much as you can. Give your best. Okay? But don't bank on it. Make your boss, however, accountable if they do not meet what they promised. So in your next evaluation meeting, you tell to your boss, boss, you told me that I'm going to get promoted. I'd like to ask what happened on that. And when someone tells you you're going to get promoted, please document it. Because usually for most companies, there is a criteria. Again, I'm going to get an example. When I was in Globe Telecom, when I was in GlaxoSmithKline, when I was in AirAsia, in order for you to get promoted, you have to reach a certain number. From a score of 1 to 5, 5 is the highest. From a score of barely met requirements to exceeded expectations, you have to reach a certain score for all the criteria. So in marketing, I have to reach a certain number for the following criteria: innovation, creativity, ability to network, ability to launch projects on time, ability to reach sales targets. All of these things were included in my criteria. If I'm able to reach and check all of them, I do get promoted. Why is it important? So that your manager is not subjective for your promotion. Regardless if the manager does not like it, if you're able to tick all the boxes, you are automatically promoted. That's how it works. Of course, don't get me wrong, the manager gets to decide your number, but the manager needs to explain why you're getting that score. Okay? So when these things are taken into documentation, you get to know if you really are going to be promoted or not. Yeah? So wag umasa. Sometimes there are going to be bosses wherein they will tell this to you just because they want to squeeze the most out of you. And yet, they will not promote you. I'm going to flip the coin. If you happen to be a manager or leader, please do the same thing. If you really want the person to get promoted and you're working hard to get them promoted, only announce it when you are really sure that they will be promoted. Otherwise, you might tell it to them, but it gets vetoed by the business owner. HR thinks that they're not ready yet. And so, how are you going to say this to your employee? So, tame your excitement, let go of your emotions, make sure instead that you'll be able to say it when it's 100% happening. Okay? Team, Gladiators in Suits, I need to leave now. If nabitin kayo with our conversation, we'd like you to catch us on Spotify. We do have a podcast called From Grit to Great, right? Similar to, ayan, para sabihin ni TikTok, I'm promoting my book. From Grit to Great is the same title of our podcast on Spotify. I'm with my co-host brother, Jed. We talk about careers, leadership. Each episode is around 20 to 40 minutes. And we're now on season 2. Please stay tuned. Season 3 is going to be announced this September 3. So please wait for that. And if you'd like to get to see us personal and live at the SMX Convention Center in Fort BGC in SM Aura, please catch us on September 29, September 30. We have 4 workshops. All you need to do is to go to our website to catch those workshops. For folks on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, these are the workshops, and that is where you can capture all the workshops. For folks who are on TikTok, this is the site where you can catch our workshops. Read the module outlines, read the details, 1,299 pesos per person, and we hope to see you there. You got 1 month. Early bird is until September 18 only. Early bird rate is 1,299. After that, the ticket becomes 1,799 pesos. O, di ba? Can I get an exclamation mark? Bagay ba ako maging seller? Pwede, di ba? Can I? You know, nagulat ako nung nag-violation kami. May lumabas na prompt sabi ni TikTok, you are currently violating the terms and rules because you're not selling the products that you said are live. So I don't want to spend an hour selling a book because I think the book will sell on its own as long as I give you good content. Agree? Yes? Plus, ayoko, mukha akong nagpapalengke here. I don't want to sell the book. I want to help people be better in their careers. That's my ultimate goal. If you'd like to buy the copies of the books, that's your extra choice. But I would like to give the live stream for free because I think that makes me a better person. It makes me happy. When more people succeed, everyone succeeds and everyone becomes happy in what they do. Okay, so Gladiators in Suits, I hope I catch you tomorrow. Kaya ko ba tomorrow mag-online? I think so. Because kailangan kong bumawi because I wasn't online yesterday and last Monday. So we'll try to be online tomorrow, maybe around 9 o'clock. We'll see you guys soon. Stay safe and always aspire for a better version of who you are today. Thanks, guys.